What's up, y'all? It's the Mma Analyst here to do my recap for Strikeforce Fedor versus Silva. It is what it is, y'all. It is what it is. What we watched was a beatdown. It was what I thought would happen if Fedor lost. At any point in this tournament, I thought if Fedor lost, that's all we were gonna see of him. About the fight, let's get on that. First round, I mean, it's unfortunate for anybody who, there's probably not gonna be a lot of jokes in this, by the way. I got people sleeping upstairs and, you know, my boy probably just peaced out. But yo, check this out. For anybody who missed Fedor's fights, or anybody who, you know, only watches the UFC because everything else is Bush League or whatever they believe, whatever lie they've been told, I just feel sorry for them. You know what I mean? If you fall for the hype and you've chosen to not watch Fedor's fights in the past, or you just kind of missed out and you don't really understand what Fedor was doing and what he did, and maybe you've been blinded a little, it's really, you know, there's no use arguing with anybody. It's unfortunate for you. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Fedor handled his business for, you know, 10, 11 years. Undefeated in 10 years, like 32 straight wins. Well, you know what I'm saying. The point is, he did it. And he did it in a way that nobody else is ever going to do it, which is exciting fights, balls to the wall, non-stop. Every fight is exciting. Fedor had never in his career been in a fight that wasn't exciting. Whether he was winning in 30 seconds, whether he was pulling off a submission after some trouble, whether he was beating up, you know, giants who maybe shouldn't have been in the ring with him in the first place, or whether he was, you know, coming up as a youngin, taking on the #1 contender at the time, way back in the day. Y'all, Heath Herring was a #1 contender one day back in the day. And then taking on Nogueira and bouncing his head off the ground and defending his title, etc., etc. The many times he was Fighter of the Year, the many times he had Fight of the Year. That's what Fedor did. That's who anybody who watched Fedor will remember him as. I mean, mixed martial arts has a very, very short history as of right now. The closest thing really you can compare this to in combat sports would be in boxing. You have the dominant fighter who basically goes undefeated for 30 fights, loses his last few, and retires. I mean, that's what happens all the time in sports with more history. When you have somebody who goes out there, wins, and then one day they can't do what they were able to do in the past. You know, and that's that. And they say that's it. Before the fight, I realized if Fedor loses this fight to Bigfoot Silva, then it means that he's not where he used to be officially. And there's no use for him to do whatever he's doing to try and get in whatever fight condition he was going to get into, or he had been getting into, if he can't continue to fight at the level he was fighting. There's no reason to get knocked out 20 times in a row, or have Scott Coker beg you to quit, or, you know, bounce around from organization to organization. I mean, Fedor is in a position that very few fighters are in. He was in control of his career. He was in control of his life. Now that he's most likely retired, he's not going to be in the unfortunate situation that a lot of fighters are going to find themselves in if fighters don't handle their damn business, which is, I mean, he's got money in the bank. He's chilling. He can go home. He's still going to be loved, you know, over here, you know, America and Canada, you know, the UFC is a thing, right? So, and there's a lot of new fans or people who maybe even were old fans but chose not to watch Pride because, you know, they fell for the planet Terra gas and maybe, you know, turned it to zombies. But over there, I mean, when it came time for the Olympic torch to be carried through Russia, it was him. When he, competes on sambo events, the president's there. I mean, the dude is the dude. He's not gonna, people, they'll be sad. But over here, there'll be people talking out both sides of the mouth and blah, blah, blah. He's gonna be all right. And that's the situation which I wish a lot of other fighters were in, because they wouldn't be fighting nonstop past their prime, past when they should be fighting, getting knocked out over and over and over again. Not to say that all fighters who fight past their prime are doing it because of money. Some of them do it because of pride, some because of money and pride. In boxing, it was mostly a lot of times because of pride, because they were making mad bucks anyways. In MMA, for the most part, for the vast majority, it's pride. It's money. They need the money because after all the fighting and after all of the years and after all the wins and the glory and the championships and all of that, they look in the bank and they don't have the money. They don't have a retirement plan. They don't have medical. They don't have a job outside of fighting. Fedor is one of the lucky ones to come through all of this where he can go back home and chill out. And congrats to him. If he fights again, I'll support him. If he doesn't fight again, I'm not going to be mad. I saw what I needed to see. I saw him on the ups. I saw how he dealt with the downs. And, everybody's career must come to an end. Everybody's got to quit one day. And I think for Fedor, that day was today or yesterday or depending on where you are in the world. And for him, I think he believes that too. And really, what is there for him to do at this point? He's in Strikeforce. He just lost to Verdum, top 10. Silva, borderline top 10. If he is top 10, then he is number 10. And who else? Is he going to come back and fight Overeem somehow? No. Is he going to have a rematch against those guys? No. There's really nothing else for him. This tournament, what I said in the beginning, that was it for him. If he wins the tournament, he wins and he puts his hand up and he walks out a way that very few have ever been able to leave a sport is on top. Very few have ever been able to go winning. I did something big. I'm out. Because why would you leave on top? I think Masato. I don't know if he was on top, and that's K1, but Masato, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I think I just mess names up sometimes. Even guys like Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's undefeated, but people are talking mad junk because it's not looking good. Anyways, obviously this is the big news, so I'm spending all the time. Yes, other stuff happened. Talk about the fight. First round, it was crazy. Just Fedor and Silva swinging away. Anytime Fedor was in trouble against the cage, he was swinging his way out of it. Just going at it. Nothing boring. Just good. Really, it was kind of crazy because Fedor was missing a whole lot of stuff, but he was throwing more punches than he'd ever really thrown without landing them. That's when I was like, uh-oh, this ain't the same as normal, because his distance was all messed up. And obviously he had a big ass height advantage, disadvantage, reach disadvantage, size disadvantage. But he'd been able to gauge distance in the past, and in this situation, he just wasn't able to gauge that distance. So he's swinging, but homeboy was all right. He was just, putting his hands up, and actually he was doing the jab, popping that jab out, jab cross, and backing Fedor up. He did what he needed to do. Silva, second round, he said, F all that. He said, I don't know what I'm doing. I bet you his coach, his corner said, listen, I don't know what you think you're doing, but, fight of the night, both of the guys don't move to the next round. Just the winner does. So get out there and do a better game plan than that. Take his ass to the ground. Took him down, and that was it. It was basically mount. Fedor must have been really tired or something, because that mount was, he went from side controls straight to mount. Fedor didn't put a knee up, didn't do anything. He just was like, mount me, I'll be all right. I don't know what that was. But homeboy even did it slow. Silva like just kind of put the knee on the belly, and Fedor didn't do any kind of, he didn't explode or nothing. He was just like, oh, knee on belly. And then he crossed it over slow. He didn't do no quick move or nothing fast. He was like, oh, mount? That's, you know, all the times that he had to train to try and mount somebody, it had never been that easy. So I don't know what was happening there, but it is what it is. So he mounts him, and that was it. Ground and pound. I mean, good Lord, if there were elbows, oh man, that fight would have been over straight up. You know how I feel about Fedor, no homo. If there were elbows, that fight would have been over. Fedor's only weakness in the past had been that paper skin. You saw what happened when he got hit with some hammer fists. That eye ballooned up like the Goodyear blimp. But anyways, if there would have been elbows, oh my God, that fight would have been over. Fedor's face would have been cut up like, oh man. Whew. I don't know why I thought of it like, oh, just move on. It would have been over. They would have been like, stop. Then we got to see this. And homeboy just would have looked like he went through a paper shredder. But there aren't elbows. So he had to use a bludgeoning object, which are hammer fists, and try and get the rape choke and hammer fists and wild punches. And you couldn't really see what was going on. When the dust cleared, Fedor's eye was like, it was swollen on top of swollen. You know what I mean? It was like swole. It was just like it. I mean, good Lord. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Damn. But that's what it is. Silva did his thing. Congrats, Bigfoot Silva. Congrats, Fedor. Congratulations, man. I mean, like I said, you did your thing. You came in. You did it like nobody else. Really, nobody else. We're not going to see this again. Not now. I mean, that's over. If somebody's going to win dominant, it's going to be a GSP dominant style or an Anderson dominant style, which kind of means I'm going to do what I got to do, bam. But, I'm going to wait for you to and then capitalize. If I don't get a chance to capitalize, well, we might just stare at each other. And I'll win because I'm a better starer. And y'all know how much I love Anderson Silva, no homo. Or GSP, man, I don't want to stand with you. Boop, takedown. So moving around. Oh. Round two, takedown, moving around. Or maybe some jabs. But you'll never see somebody like Fedor ever again. Submission, tap, get slammed, submission, punches, knockout, uppercuts, TKOs, hooks. This man was just throwing punches and craziness his whole career and did it all the way to like basically 32-3. You know what I mean? You'll never see it again. If you missed it, what can I say? I can just say it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? I wish I was around when Ali did his thing. I wasn't. I wish I was old enough to understand what Tyson was doing in the early 80s. I wasn't. What do I get? All right, I got Fedor. I'm good with that. Simple as that. Andrei Arlovski, Kharitonov. This is another dude that's going to probably need to retire. A little bit different, though. Andrei Arlovski knocked out, straight, out cold. He had the sharper, crisper strikes. He had the faster strikes. But he was more on that sparring tip. Kind of worried about what would happen if Sergei Kharitonov could do what he did. By the way, did Brett Rogers know how to say Kharitonov? Sounded like he said like Kharitov or something. Anyways. Kharitonov, as soon as he got that opening, he was like, ksh! And then the glass sprinkled across the cage, and then they brought over some brooms, and they said, get this porcelain off the cage, off the mat. Let's move it on. Not to say Sergei Kharitonov couldn't knock out most people if he hit him in the face. I'm just saying, when you get knocked out every time on your first shot, or you get stunned every time the first time you get hit, that's a problem. Because everybody doesn't have one-hit knockout power, and seems like they get it against Andrei Arlovski. There's an issue. 4 knockouts in a row. Fedor. Actually, no, it ain't no 4 knockouts. He had the fight with Silva that went to decision. But 3 out of 4. And then he been knocked out in the past with the Tim Sylvia situations. I mean, homeboy's been getting straight laid out. Just waking up 2 days later. You know what I mean? That's it. I know you got to be politically correct on the broadcast, but I don't. That's it. There's no reason to put your body through that anymore. Damn. Good win for Kharitonov. It's looking like Sergei Kharitonov for versus Bigfoot Silva. Wait, nah. They on the opposite sides. It's going to be Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus either Overeem or Verdum, and Kharitonov versus Brett Rogers or Josh Barnett. And then the rest of the card happened. Chad Griggs won. Congratulations. And Shane Del Rosario also won. He stays undefeated. Congratulations. So there you go. And then some other stuff happened. Oh, yeah. Wow. What did Sefo tap to? I thought Overeem was going to submit him, but I didn't think he just... I didn't really get to see exactly what it was, but he was in side control. All I could see his arm, and he was like... I'm like, damn. Like that? Congratulations to Valentin Overeem, who will end up somehow being a substitute and going against his brother in the finals. That would be ugly. Anyways, y'all. Fedor, you did your thing. Thank you. I mean, let's have a little bit of moments of like how it was for me with my Fedor thing. I did my Fedor video at a time about 2 years ago. It's got like 250,000 hits or something like that. It was a collection of all the somewhat up-to-date comments on Fedor at the time. And I'm glad I got to, you know, spread a little Fedor love there, no homo. What else? I should probably just put a no homo, like, disclaimer, so I don't have to say it. But then if you missed the disclaimer and then I say something, then you'd be like, anyways, back to the thing. So it was nice to spread that around. My wedding day, you know, it's one of my big things. My wedding day, you know, we got married on New Year's Eve, like 3 years ago. And straight up, I was like, Uranoka's on, Fedor's fighting, you know, Yao Ming in the morning time. I know it's Hongman Choi, but I'm just saying. Man, I was up in the morning, 6, I think the Fedor fight ended up being around 6:50 a.m. Went back to sleep for a few minutes, got back up, got ready, and got married. And then, you know, rocked the whole day on sleep mode. The nighttime, we had our reception on the New Year's, rocking it out, you know, and I'm just sitting there rocking it out. Man, that was a great fight last night, or this morning, you know what I mean? You know, Fedor been, you know, really Fedor's kind of also who got me into MMA. Who got me into, you know, beyond boxing was Remy Banjaski, or Banyaski, back, I don't know, maybe 2000 earlys, when he was doing all of his flyings and jumpings and whatnot. But it was Fedor who actually got me into MMA, when I was like, oh damn, this is after Fedor, after, like, I knew MMA was always there, but I never really latched on until he started handling his business. And that's when I was like, damn, you know, I like this. You know, before it was a little too violent and not enough rules. But this guy was just handling business, and I was like, you know what? I think I can get down with this. But anyways, that's it. That's The Last Emperor, y'all. I tried to get something cheesy. The Last Emperor. That's for real. MMA. It's important. Peace.